This morning I have the opportunity to preach, to speak at church, so that means we're leaving the house before 6 in the morning. Let's be going.
Make us a house of prayer for all nations.
So the first thing I do when I get to 1405 Bircham on this beautiful Sunday morning is usually put my slides in the computer for the sermon. After that, I will probably read through my message out loud a couple times, make any notes that I need. Remind myself to talk slowly, because sometimes I talk too fast and I mumble. So I actually write low and slow across the top. Might write that across every page this time, but we're gonna get those things set up, and I also want to talk to you about how I feel during the weeks as I prepare to preach. So here we go. I should probably just stop saying that. I don't want to see let's go or here we go after every talking bit. All right, so I got that done, and I think without messing any of the cues up. See, I do my slides different ways, like every other time. I only preach like every 2 or 3 months. So every time I do it, I'm not sure if I did it right without messing anything up. So Jesse, if I mess anything up, I'm very sorry. But let's hope not. Now I'm gonna run through my message a couple of times, underline, highlight, do things, because when I type it out, I sometimes miss things. So I've read through it a couple times, and I'm gonna read through it out loud in here. And then something I love doing when I'm here early, just walking through and praying that God would use my words, that God would calm my nerves, that God would speak to the hearts of the church family as we gather here today to worship and learn from His Word. So that's next on the agenda. So it's later in the day. The worship team's here. They're rehearsing. Got to had all of them. Fantastic. Ran through. I'm gonna run through more times. Make a few more remarks to help me. I think one thing I started with is like I want to go away from my notes, but I'm scared that I'm going to say something in my notes later. So I'm going to give myself some markers for like, hey, this is all you have in your notes about this. If you have other things on your brain, go ahead and say them. Give myself some of those markers. That should be good. So let me talk about how I prepare to preach. I usually know that I'm preaching more than a month in advance. So like 3 weeks out, I'll read the text, start to think through it. 2 weeks out, I'll really start to read the text, read it in different versions, bring it into my iPad so I can scribble all over it and do that. And then the week of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and probably a little bit the week before too, I'm reading some commentaries that the staff here meets a week and a half out to talk over some sermon stuff, so get input from those people, and that's great. And I really, really love and enjoy up until Wednesday when I'm reading and I'm studying and I'm talking to people about the text and about what I'm going to preach about. I love all that. And then there comes a point that's usually like Wednesday afternoon or Thursday where I think to myself, why did I agree to preach? I don't like this. I start to doubt myself, whether I'm good enough or qualified to do this. I start to wonder if I'm going to have anything to say or if I've just spent all this time reading and I'm going to get up there and go, "Bleh," and have nothing. And yeah, that happens Wednesday afternoon, Thursday. Usually I just get overwhelmed with like, why am I doing this? Why do I keep saying yes to preaching? And the reason is because sometime after that Wednesday afternoon, God will say, hey, this is something that I've gifted you to do, something I've called you to do, something that I want you to be doing right now in this congregation. And every time I do preach afterwards, I feel like that was good. People were hopefully encouraged, inspired, challenged by God's truth. And I'm sure there's a part of me that loves the attention of being on a platform in front of people. I do like that, but I really feel like it's something God has called me to. So but almost every time there's that Wednesday afternoon that's like, this is dumb. I should stop doing this because I get anxious and I feel unqualified and worthless. And actually this week we're talking about talking through John 21 when Jesus comes and talks to Peter, restores him, calls him back to that ministry that He has called him to, and talking about how, yeah, you can have run from God for 2 weeks or 2 years or 2 decades, and God is still there welcoming you back. And not just, like, I think in my head I always understand that God is going to welcome me back no matter what and love me. The story of the prodigal son, love that story. But in this situation we see God welcoming Peter back and restoring Peter to the ministry that he had called him to during that 3 years that they were hanging out together, which I really enjoy because of time that I spent feeling called to ministry, and then time I spent in my early 20s being an idiot and not following Jesus. Never doubted there was a God, but definitely lived my life like it didn't matter that there was a God, but then forgot to still use me in ministry, in service to him. After that has been fantastic. So I'm going to finish up looking at those papers. I'm going to preach, and I think later today I get to have sandwiches.